Close racing on the seafront? It's time for P1 SuperStock. And welcome to Gosport for round 2 of the P1 SuperStock Championship, where for the second year in a row the crowds have flocked to Stokes Bay for a day of family fun and to have the best seats in the house to watch all of the racing action. Last time out it was the season opening weekend in Scarborough, where it was a case of mixed fortunes for the P1 fleet, as Shelley Jory-Lee reminds us now.
Thanks, Kev. Well, last time in Scarborough, some of the usual front runners suffered disastrous technical problems. But the newer teams had better luck, putting in solid performances and gaining those all-important championship points.
And there it is, racing at Scarborough's very first Grand Prix of the Sea is underway. But it's Alan Marine who are our first race leaders of 2015. It's victory for Alan Marine. Well, what a duel this is. They're virtually next to each other. Something's going on, and Typhoon coming to a halt. Oh, very, very close to the Thames network. Alan Marine slowing. Something is wrong. Delight for Nick Williams and Martin Robinson.
First round was fantastic in Scarborough, Shelley. We got to the front of the pack. We managed to keep second, managed to take Alam on the pit lap and finish the weekend on top of the podium. Our biggest competition this weekend is going to be Alam, but let's not write off the GD boys and obviously Per Thames.
The last round wasn't the best weekend we could have hoped for in Scarborough. Had a lot of problems with the boat. We missed 3 out of 4 races. Hopefully we're prepared now. I say hopefully because we've been out of the country. Steve's been here looking after the boat. We've had a very brief testing session, but we're ready to roll.
GD Environmental Services now moves out into the lead.
We've been out racing in the US, in Sarasota. We got 3rd, which was nice to be on the podium. Could have hoped for a little better, but we did what we could.
The Scarborough Grand Prix was a really bad start to the season. We had technical issues on Saturday, engine change on Saturday night, Sunday, everything was running a bit slow, but we completed 3 of the 4 races, but it was a bad start to the season for us. Here in Gosport it should be better. It does rough up in Stokes Bay. I think last year was the last time I'd ever seen it flat. Expecting it to be a bit rougher this year, which suits us a little bit. Not too rough, just some nice big swells to sort the men out from the boys.
Well, our Scarborough race was a little testing. Unfortunately, we had a mechanical failure in the second race. We managed to get it going for the Sunday, and we sort of finished around middle of the pack. Hopefully do a bit better this weekend.
We're going to have to hang on and keep on. I think it's going to be a little bit choppy, as this area always is, but hopefully we're going to do better this weekend.
Well, we've had a change of crew this weekend, Shelley. Just we thought give Chris a run out. He had a good season last year, so we're giving him a go with a proper driver rather than Aaron. Just for a bit of banter and a bit of fun. Kirsty's been promoted to team manager for the weekend.
My day job is lifeboat coxswain for the RNLI. It's a lot different to this. This is much faster, much more exciting, much more dangerous, and more fun all round.
In a regular P1 weekend, the teams have to get themselves and their boat prepped for 2 practice sessions and up to 4 races. But in a sport where engines, electrical technology and salt water don't always mix, I thought I should have a chat with Keith Whittle from PowerTech Marine to find out about some of the basic maintenance required if you want to keep yourself and your boat ahead of the rest. So Keith, you're here once again on a powerboat P1 weekend, but last time out in Scarborough you were pretty busy with the boys from GD Environmental. What was going on?
Yeah, they kept getting an oil pressure issue, and we had to rapidly change the oil pump. So we had to rob another engine, take the pump off, and quickly change it all. So it's all hands to the deck.
So you're here once again with your van full of spares. What are some of the pre-race checks that these guys have got to do ahead of a weekend?
The main one is really a nut and bolt check, a very simple nut and bolt check. Inside the boat you have to check all the pumps are not loose, battery security, anything that could come loose probably will.
Well, we'll see what happens today, Keith. It's looking pretty choppy out there. Are you expecting a busy weekend this weekend?
If anything breaks, it can happen. We have enough spares to keep most of the boats going anyway, so hopefully we should be fine.
So here we are down in the shingle at Stokes Bay, where I'm pleased to say the sun has come out, Shelley, and graced us with its presence. We're set for a great day's racing.
You are. The sun has come out, but also the wind has come up as well. We've got a real short chop out there with white tops. Just going to make the boats really fly across the top, so big speeds, but every now and again, big air.
You've already had a chat with some of the guys this morning. What are they all thinking?
As we know, Pertemps love the rough water.
Yeah, John will be keen to get out.
Oh yeah, and all of them, when I interviewed them this morning, they all said, oh, Gosport's not as flat as last year, and it's going to be a bit choppy out there. Well, it is.
So it is indeed time to head out to the start and take a look at the course with your race commentator, Dave Moore.
The sloping beach makes a natural vantage point for the many spectators. This is the layout of the course, run in an anti-clockwise direction with one right-hand buoy just before the finish, plus there's the pit lap to take in at some point as well. 11 craft furiously making their way across the top of the Solent as they power towards the first turn. GD Environmental, perhaps just happy at the moment to be out there, but their priorities will change now they're in the thick of battle. And as we've seen, a lot of noses pointing skywards, which is costing them time. The trick, of course, is to get the boat as trimmed as possible. A nose pointing continually toward the horizon will get you there quicker. Gavin Felt issuing advice to Aaron Scott, and it is a furious start to this race. It seems there are boats everywhere. And strangely for Pertemps Network, they are toward the back of the pack. And I say strange, as John Wilson has always gone well in conditions such as these. Long way to go, of course. Flying Panther living up to their name. And they lead as Alan Marine go up the inside around the turn to go past New Wave, with Arthur J. Gallagher pushing hard for what looks like third place. We hitch a ride with the race leaders, Alan Marine, in the perfect position in conditions like this. Chris Schreiber on navigation duty for Pickford's Racing this weekend. Plenty of white water. Oh, what was that? What was that? It looked like part of a boat. Pertemps Network, meanwhile, out of the water. We can look at this again, and that is Alan Marine, the race leaders, and that is their deck hatch which flies off. So a dramatic opening race for the Gosport Grand Prix of the Sea. We're looking at a very close battle for third between Leica Mobile, Arthur J. Gallagher. Meanwhile, Alan Marine continue unperturbed in pursuit of the race lead, despite missing part of their boat. That was close between Leica Mobile and Arthur J. Gallagher, and this looks close between New Wave and Pertemps Network, the battle for fifth. Oh, Arthur J. Gallagher close to the buoy, but Locomobile square off the turn, two very different lines. It's a perfectly timed pit lap for Alan Marine as they now lead this race, minus their deck hatch. And this looks like a huge moment for Locomobile, and it is. Flying Panther in second place and looking to regain the lead from Alan Marine. But this doesn't sound good. And unbelievably, Alan Marine are slowing and losing places. We're looking at one of the new outfits. That's 22 Quantum Racing in the hands of Kevin Burdock and Johnny Albert. No points for Typhoon. We saw them slow to a halt earlier. Well, this is some scrap between the champions GD Environmental and VisitWales.com. Now this race must be cursed. Arthur J. Gallagher, who were second, have also retired. Despite their poor start, Pertemps Network are powering towards race leader Alan Marine. We're looking back at Pertemps Network, and they really look the business. They've got to be the fastest craft out there at present, and they're in a three-way fight at the front. They switch to the inside as they approach the turn. Well, this is close. Oh, they smacked the buoy. That may have cost them a little bit of momentum. The checkered flag is out to greet Alan Marine as they win the opening heat of the Gosport Grand Prix of the Sea. So victory for Alan Marine with Pertemps Network in second and Pickford's Racing taking third. New Wave and Quantum both picking up some big points as well.
Well, how about that for the first one on the weekend? What fantastic racing. Great result there for Alan, Pertemps and Pickford's taking the top three spots. But The tail of the tape there was all about the conditions. Check out the size of the rollers coming in behind me. And this wind, well, it's why we saw those boats retiring. Let's see what happens though as we head out for race 2.
There is the signal to go as the field heads out to turn 1 with Alan Marine keen to repeat their earlier win. And already they're sneaking ahead of Pickford's. Alan Marine on the inside of Potemps Network as they approach the buoy. Everyone getting chucked about as we ride with John Wilson and Daisy Coleman off Potemps Network. You can hear the hull slapping against the water and the momentary silence when it's out. A good start by Pickford's Racing. Oh my goodness, they're out! They've both been thrown out. Everyone's stopping and they look to be okay. The race has been red flagged immediately. Rescue crews already on their way. Well, what a heart-in-mouth moment that was. We'll get to see it again in a second. Here they come. They're in boat 22 as they make the turn. They're looking good at this point, and then wow! The boat just accelerates and they're thrown out instantly. It must have happened so fast they probably wondered what they were doing in the water. It looks rapid even in slow motion. They had no time to react. Rescue teams immediately on the case, and the news coming back is that both men are okay. So the race was eventually restarted with Potemps Network, who'd finished second in the first heat, immediately taking the lead in this one. Behind them saw a three-way battle for second involving Visit Wales, GD Environmental and New Wave. The racing was once again very hectic and conditions still very choppy, which suited Potemps Network down to a T as they took the flag and victory. Alan Marine and Potemps Network swapping places this time, with New Wave grabbing third, their best result of the season so far.
So, Aaron, Gav, huge congratulations, a first and a second, but that looked brutal out there.
Yeah, it was a really, really rough race. Really tight chop. There's a lot of traffic out there as well, so you're getting rogue waves coming in. There's a lot of airborne action.
It was tough. It was hard work. Working your way through those waves and with the wind all over the place as well. So the complex sea conditions.
Hanging on for dear life out there, but yeah, it's good.
Well, how about that for a first day's racing on the weekend? The wind picked up, the waves picked up, a few retirements in that second race there, but great performances from most, none less so than Potemps Network and Alan Marine. Join us when we come back for day 2 from here in Gosport. Welcome back to day 2 here in Gosport for the P1 SuperStock Championship round 2. Yesterday, Shelley, we had some fantastic action out there on the water. Lots to talk about this morning.
Yes, we've had a change of results overnight because Alan Marine have actually been disqualified completely.
Right.
I mean, they raced brilliantly yesterday. They were up there, they got a first and a second. But they raced without their deck hatch.
Right.
They lost their deck hatch in the first race, which flew off. They then raced the second race without it completely. And unfortunately, the rules say if you don't finish with a complete boat,
Right.
nil point.
Well, of course, the other news this morning, Shelley, that we've got to give a mention to, once again, the weather. Look at this, the wet weathers. Our jackets are back on a Sunday morning. What's going on?
Well, as you well know, Kev, racing anywhere in the United Kingdom, the weather changes so much. It can change overnight just like this. Yesterday, we saw it blow up so quickly just before the race, and it really gave the racers a tough time out there. I think today they're going to have an even tougher time. It's really gusting and it's going to be tough.
Well, let's find out, because we can head into briefing right now, where obviously the wind is gusting outside here, but hopefully they've got some updated info. So let's go and have a listen.
So, yeah, on the condition side, just to cover off, yeah, I see nothing out there that impedes my risk assessments. 1 point to note. So yesterday, one of the teams, unfortunately, has been disqualified due to losing his front cowling. That little hatch is quite important. It stops the water going in if you nosedive, pop yourself upside down or anything nasty. Really important, guys. If you lose it, if it comes loose, do yourselves a favour, pull out. Thank you, enjoy yourselves, but stay safe.
So, Aaron, Gav, you just come out of briefing. We've heard that there's a bit of a change in the result from yesterday. Tell us what you're thinking.
The first and second race yesterday, we just screamed around. You know, and it was brilliant.
I think it's the most gutting thing is getting that sort of result on the water. The boat performing that well, getting our pit laps timed perfectly. It's amazing, and then losing it all because of, as you said, technicality.
So, per Thames, extra points, but perhaps not in the way that you'd like to take the points, John.
No, it's very sad for Aaron, really. I mean, nothing much you can do about it, but losing a hatch like that, really bad luck for him. You don't like to inherit points like that, but one of those things, this is the way racing goes sometimes.
It was brutal out there, but we really adapted to the conditions, we kept it flat and we just trudged on through there and got 2 really good results.
Podium positions in both races, a second and a third. Thoughts for today?
We've been working out our strategy today, so it's really crucial. We know who we need to race, we know who we don't need to race, and it's about bringing the boat home safely with one bit.
Dave and Chris, not a great day yesterday. Tell me all about it, Dave.
Start of the second race, we were with the guys and we weren't going to mess around. We were confident now, had the boat, and then unfortunately things went a bit pear-shaped.
And explain pear-shaped to me.
We decided that the Solent are very inviting. The water was quite warm for the time of year, so we give it a go, a quick dip, and off we went, unfortunately.
So here we are then down on the shingle in Stokes Bay, and Shelley, we're just about to go racing, but I hope you can see it at home. It's absolutely gusting. The weather is, well, it's as worse as I've seen it in the last 4 or 5 years of racing.
It is. We're putting more and more clothes on. The wind has picked up out there. It was bad yesterday. Today is going to be hell out there. It's going to be such hard racing.
And don't forget, of course, at the moment, these guys are, well, they're getting prepped at the moment. They'll be fueling their boats. They'll be checking everything that is, everything is fixed after yesterday.
Ratchet straps, gaffer tape. They'll be trying to make their boats completely bulletproof because that is the only way you're going to survive out there.
So let's head out to the start, take a look at the course and the race with your commentator, Dave Moore.
Like yesterday, the course is run in an anti-clockwise direction, mainly left-hand turns with the all-important pit lap, which you can't afford a mistake on. The pit lap aspect worked perfectly for Alan Marine yesterday until fate played its part in the race. So Heat 3 is up and running, and P1 Network has to be the boat to watch. They're already pulling away from GD Environmental, Flying Panther with unfinished business, of course, and there is P1 Network to the right of the picture. Arthur J. Gallagher leads, but P1 Network are the fastest looking craft down there. They look to have their noses in front as we ride with Flying Panthers. It is indeed P1 Network who are out in front. See how Wilson and Coleman keep their boat smooth while the waves crash off their rivals. Stuart and Sarah Curitan looking calm and composed despite the conditions. So P1 Network with Alan Marine just out of the picture, but in it now in second, and Arthur J. Gallagher third. They're not as tightly bunched as they were yesterday as we look back from Flying Panther. John Wilson and Daisy Coleman in the P1 boat make no secret of the fact that they relish challenging conditions. They came into this weekend in 4th place in the championship. If they carry on like this, they could well leave in 1st position. Meanwhile, this is the battle for 3rd, with Arthur J. Gallagher on the inside and Flying Panther with Nick Williams and Martin Robinson on board. Slipping by. This is 6th place, contested by Leica Mobile and Visit Wales. That's father and daughter, Vince and Jade Berridge, and husband and wife, Stuart and Sarah Curitan, who are looking at now incredible speeds. Are we looking at a change for 2nd position? And look at how they leap out of the water. Have you ever seen anything like it? What a thrill it must be. Flying Panther by name and by nature, and now up into 2nd position, plus they've also taken their pit lap. Alan Marine not letting go. They want that position back. It looks like they'll dive inside if they can, and that's what they're doing. They're a good 3 or 4 lengths back. Oh, and they've smacked the marker that hard that it has come loose. That is a rare sight. And here is that moment again. That is GD Environmental. We're looking down upon last year's UK and US champions. The view from Taifu, John Donnelly and Kevin Hunt. Well, they timed their pit lap to perfection, and it looks to have paid off for Alan Marine as they draw up alongside race leaders P1 Network and look as if they're going to take the #1 spot from them. They're through. So Alan Marine, who were disqualified yesterday from both races, have responded perfectly. It looks like being a wonderful finish to another wonderful race. It seemed that P1 Network, having blown everyone away at the start, would revel in these conditions, but Aaron Scott and Gavin Felt have used the pit lap to their advantage. No win on the cards this time for Wilson and Coleman. It's victory for Alan Marine. Alan Marine get to keep the win this time, but they have been issued with a yellow card for hitting the marker during that race.
So there you go, the race proving to be as brutal as you would expect in these conditions, and when they crossed the checkered flag there, as we saw it, it was Alan from P1 from Flying Panther. Let's head back out to the start for the next one.
Conditions hadn't improved by the time the fourth and final heat of the weekend got underway, with winds at times gusting past the 40-knot mark. It was Alan Marine who made the early running as they once again sought to repair the damage caused by the previous day's disqualification. And they would eventually go on to take the win. P1 Network, the big winners in Gosport, and they take a 9-point lead with them to round 3, with the series now looking like a 3-way fight for the title.
Very, very tough, but thankfully we're here, we made it, we're in one piece, the boat's in one piece. So good result.
I think consistency was the key this weekend right across the board.
Yeah, you had to keep the boat together, everything bolted down without losing any bits and pieces.
Keep yourselves together.
Keep ourselves together, keep the boat together, and like you say, bring it home.
So there we go, another P1 racing weekend comes to a close, and we finish, Shelley, with perhaps some of the strongest wins that we've seen all weekend, but we got 4 races in.
I'm amazed that we got 4 races in these conditions. Fantastic racing by P1 Network. And Alan Marine, some of the best racing I've seen in many, many years. Pit laps were taken at a perfect time. What a disappointment for them.
Well, Shelley, thanks as always for your company.
Thank you.
You'll join both of us next time, and hopefully the weather will be a little bit more on our side when we head up to Hull. But for now, from all us here in Gosport, see ya.
Bye.